Speaking of what the top rep's making, what has Trish's biggest month as a closer been in the remote high ticket sales space?
$54,000.
$54,000. What? Damn, $54,000. Jeez, bro, that's like an annual freaking salary.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Closers Network podcast, the only podcast you should be listening to if you're looking to make more money in the remote high ticket space, that is, right? Guys, today I'm excited because we have a guest, a returning guest, that is a true powerhouse in the world of high ticket sales. In fact, today's intro is probably going to be the longest one that I've had till date. Our guest today is an exceptional human being. I know this because I've actually had the honor and the privilege to work alongside her for almost a decade now. With over 12 years of experience across a variety of industries, from car sales to retail sales to franchise fitness sales, and now even remote high ticket sales, selling all kinds of offers from B2B to B2C, from real estate investing to affiliate marketing to copywriting, lead generation, coaching and personal development, fitness and e-commerce, and now turned into a leader in sales coaching. In fact, one of the best sales coaches, if not the best sales coach in the game. She's consistently been a top producer in every environment that she's been around, using the same framework to crush it every single time. One of the most significant entrepreneurs and influencers in the online space, also known as the Tony Robbins of the fitness industry, aka Bedros Keuilian, didn't even initially want to hire her, and that turned into Bedros talking about Trish today about the best salesperson that he's ever hired. And that's a huge statement because Bedros also hired Richard and I. So that being said, do you want to know what really makes her story even more inspiring? In 2020, she left a multiple six-figure salary behind with no plan, no safety net, and a ton of pressure on her shoulders. Yet, through sheer determination and unshakable belief in her ability to think on her feet, she not only survived, guys, she thrived. She earned her way to leadership and scaled teams where now she helps hundreds and hundreds of sales reps change their lives and make more money. She's someone who's turned life's curveballs into opportunities, and she's here today to share her journey even more in depth than the last time she was on, to drop some serious knowledge bombs and how you can do the same. Buckle up, because we're about to get into a conversation and go deep, as real as it gets. So please help me welcome to the show a closer with a huge heart, probably the most empathetic closer I know, and a leader who's turned her own trials into triumphs. My friend, the silent assassin, the one, the only, aka Trish Rosenquist. Trish, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Last time you were on, you were a Chan. This time you're on, you're a Rosenquist.
I am.
How's the marriage life?
It's exactly the same. I still cook, he cleans. It's amazing.
Okay, that's awesome. Guys, I'm excited today because Trish is the definition of overcoming adversity, okay? Her upbringing, which we didn't really get into last time, she's gone through a lot of challenges she's faced that could have easily been all the excuses to not be where she's at today, right? So I'm excited to dive even more into her past and bring the best out of her today. So there's a lot to cover. I was confused even like, where do I even start? Because there's so much here. But Trish, let's go back to younger Trish and start there, right? You mentioned growing up that you were timid. You were afraid to ask for what you wanted. You spent a lot of your adult years trying to be a people pleaser, hoping that people would like you because you never had a circle, because you were convinced your worth was dependent on other people's opinions. And also you mentioned that the moment it stopped, things changed significantly for you. So in your journey from timid people pleaser to confident leader, what was the turning point that made you finally realize that you needed to focus on proving yourself rather than proving yourself to others?
You know, there's a book called No Bad Parts. It's not a sales book. It's a psychology book. And a lot of therapists use it in their work. It's called like parts work.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And I think that had a really profound impact on me because that book talks about how you're made up of parts, right? You're made up of pillars. There's pillars that you found foundational to who you are, how you perceive things, like, how people perceive you, how you perceive yourself. And, I did a lot of work in that book with the counselor. And what they helped me realize was that, man, like this part of me that I was running away from, this part of me that I was so ashamed of, the part of me that was like, that I almost wanted to hide, right? Because it was just a lot. It was a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. The minute that I started to accept that, and it was an ongoing thing, right? It wasn't one defining moment, but it was an ongoing thing where I can continuously reorient myself. The minute you stop running away from it and realize that, hey, you know what? Like I am where I am because of those things, or in spite of those versus in spite of those things. That acceptance really freed me up to, have a deeper lens when I talk to other people. So instead of me being insecure about how you see me and are you going to like me and are you going to like what I say and are you going to want to spend time with me? It's more of like, hey, I don't really care about that anymore. I care about being my most authentic version of myself. And, it just made my connections with people and in sales a whole lot easier from there.
Dang. So a book, getting the knowledge from the book gave you that aha moment that was like, dude, it gave you a different perspective. Yeah,
that and having a mentor around it, right? And that's
who was your mentor at that time?
So, Bedros was one of them.
Yep.
He was the one that actually recommended me that book as well as Body Keeps a Score. And he kind of helped me subjectively understand it, because reading it, you're only like looking through your own lens of perspective. You're thinking your own thoughts, right?
That's right.
But if you can have a mentor or somebody in your corner who helps you think bigger, who helps you kind of push past your limits, because most of the time we want to stay in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And thinking about the uncomfortable stuff in the past, the stuff that we'll just put away because, I don't have time right now. I got to do this. I got to do that.
That's right.
Right. But he does one of the best things he's ever done for me is help me think bigger.
I love that, man. I love that. That's one thing I remember going back, just because we worked in the same environment with Bedros. Like that environment was just so different, which is a lot of what we have here today in One Call Closers. And I at least on mine, I attribute a lot of what I learned from what I took away from there. But it really makes a huge difference. And one of the things I hear people telling about all the time, just reaching out, dude, your guys' culture is so different. Man, I want to be part of that. Dude, what can I do to be a part of that type of deal? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that I hear Big Brad Lee, the real Brad Lee, talking about all the time is the number one skill set in his opinion is for a closer to have empathy. And I believe your number one skill set, and knowing you for all this time, is being empathetic. Was Trish always empathetic?
Yes. I will say this, though. I was using empathy in the wrong way, because there's pretty much two ways that you can use empathy. And the way that I used to use it wasn't the right path if I wanted to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, but more importantly, help other people get what they want. I used to use empathy in a way where I would enable someone. So I would immediately want to make them feel better, immediately, feel like I'm a part of them, like resolving their issues or whatever it was. And I was almost kind of placing too much responsibility in myself to be that person. And later in sales, when I realized that, man, like you're going to talk to people who come from all backgrounds and different walks of life. If you truly want to help this person and you want to not, mess up the idea that you're a nice person, because I think that's most people's holdup, right?
Yes.
Is that they want to be nice. They don't want to offend. They don't want to create friction or confrontation. But there is a difference between using empathy to enable someone versus empower them. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Yeah. And also in my mind, there's also difference like between being kind and being nice, right? Like they're kind of two separate things.
Yeah.
Like you can be kind to someone, but still be able to lead with love without necessarily having to be nice. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's powerful. That's extremely powerful. One thing I'm excited to get into, you mentioned like you've been in so many different industries and sales, and you've used the same sales framework. Can you walk us through what your sales framework is and how you've been able to implement it in such diverse kind of sales?
Yeah. Well, and the core of it is all just kind of like just keeping it prospect focused, right? So an example, like high ticket sales is going to be the easiest transition. It's what are you doing? Like you're really getting to know this person's background. You're trying not make them feel like you have an agenda or that you're pushing your own product or service without really understanding what their needs are. So like, I'll tell you a short story. When I used to work for retail mobile sales, I used to work at T-Mobile.
Yep.
And like, believe it or not, like T-Mobile has like regulars. There's like people who like come in and like Like, not because they need anything. There's like regulars at a phone store.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And I was like, what's going on in your life that makes you a regular at a phone?
It's like a coffee shop, bro?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, that's the number one thing that surprised me about that field. But there was this lady that walked in and she was a regular, you know, and she came in and she knew she could pay her bill online, but she liked to do it in person. She was kind of, you know, old school like that. And so we just got to talking and she immediately, I already associate with her, oh, she's going to pay her bill. I'm not going to get a sale out of her, whatever it is. Right. But I didn't really care. Like most associates would have like suddenly been busy. So they don't get tied up with her in case somebody else comes in so they can get a sale. But I just took her. I was like, hey, you know, like she's going to come in. I want to keep furthering this relationship, whatever it is. And hopefully in the future it might pay off. But anyway, we get to talking as we're processing our payment. And I'm like, hey, you know, so how was your weekend? She goes, oh, I did a bunch of laundry. And I'm like, I was like, I have a ton of laundry. And I actually, you know, I ended up washing my car keys the other day because I'm just dumb, you know? And she goes, oh my God, you just reminded me. I totally washed my Bluetooth headset. I do need another one. And you have to understand how metrics work for mobile phone sales. Like they don't make money off the phones. They make money off the accessories, right? The case, the headset, all that stuff. And so I ended up meeting my quota that pushed me into another bracket for commissions because I chose to take that call or that conversation with that lady, just ask her about her weekend. And that led into a $150 Bluetooth sale.
Dang.
Right. But I want to put it from the other perspective though, because let's imagine that I only had the lens of like my goals. Right. Instead of keeping it prospect focused, I could have said, hey, are you looking for any, you know, new merchandise? Right. We just got this new Bluetooth speaker in. We just got a new Bluetooth headset. We got a new case. Her immediate thought's probably going to be, well, I don't really need that. I just want to pay my bill. I'm going to buy on Amazon. It's like $20 there.
Right.
Versus the $150 set I sold her on because, you know, hey, she directly connected that to a need.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's so freaking powerful. That's like, yeah, you had like, you like, what else can I discover if this is what I discovered and just having this, what other opportunities could I also be missing out on, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. That's freaking huge, man. $150 Bluetooth sale just out of a laundry conversation.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But going back, like, what would you say, like, so just kind of simplifying that a little bit. So what I hear you saying is, hey, it doesn't matter what I'm selling. The number one thing I'm focused on is what are the prospect and what are their needs? Do I have a problem to solve?
Yeah.
And then if I do, how do I get them from point A to point B and fill that gap essentially?
Yeah. Yeah. Find the need first, you know, because if you start to pitch something before you even find out what they actually need, they're going to feel sold, but you're also going to have a really hard time closing. Can you close like that? Sure. But you're going to have a really hard time, you know, breaking any records.
That's right. Well, man, Bedros Keuilian called you the best salesperson he's ever hired. I'm offended. No, I'm just kidding. What do you think set you apart from everyone else? And how did you earn that title? Like, is it like the framework? Is it the fact that you are empathetic and that's maybe your number one skill set? Like, what do you believe got you there?
You know, and I was really privileged because I recently went to a scale day workshop that he was hosting. So I actually got to hear him tell me why, like not directly, but in front of everybody. And, the main thing that he mentioned was that enough was never enough. Like I would hit one milestone. So I made the most money I'd ever made at that point at like $15,000 for the month. And, it wasn't enough for me. I was already thinking about, hey, how do I get this to 20? And once I get to 20, how do I get this to 30? And when I get to 30, how do I get this to 50? And I think that the thing that he really liked about me is that he never had to make me want that.
Right.
I already wanted it.
You're self-accountable.
Yeah.
To get to that next level, essentially.
Yeah. And so because I wanted that, like I was obviously internally motivated to better the systems, to streamline the operations, like to get there quicker, faster, more ethically. There's a lot of systems that I put in place that really like that they still use to this day. Yeah. And now that they've scaled up to another 700 locations. Well,
damn, again, yeah, it's just one thing because I've worked alongside so many people in so many environments and like you have that give a shit factor, which is the empathy that I think a lot of people don't have. They're like, oh, this is just my job. I'm going to clock in, clock out, even if they're in sales. But like, man, you're like fully immersed. You're fully in to the point where you're building out systems. You're building out processes. You're giving it. You're saying, here you go. We're using that till today, right? In the franchise. So like. How does someone have a give a shit factor? How does someone increase their give a shit factor?
You have to have a deeper purpose. You know, I think so many people get into sales because they want a big commission check, and that's great, you know. But again, money is the vehicle. So money's going to be empty if you don't have a thing that you're driving it towards. What happens when you get a $50,000 paycheck? Is it going to sit in your bank? Like, what are you going to use it for? What does it mean? Right. And I think everybody kind of goes through that phase where they start to buy like the nice watches and the cars and like, all the superficial stuff. But there's going to come a point where it's like, man, there's something that means more to me that is driving my desire to get better and better and better. And so once you find that, again, you can kind of teach yourself to be internally motivated. If you're comfortable right now, that's a really good sign that you need to start thinking bigger, start deciding what you want and why.
Damn, son, are you comfortable? Ask yourself right now, guys, are you comfortable? That's a freaking powerful question. You should think about that. Man, that's powerful stuff. Trish, you faced some really intense challenges that I want to get into, like being taken away from your parents by social services, having to take care of your father that had 2 heart attacks, left a multiple six-figure opportunity without a backup plan, and then being let go from another multiple six-figure opportunity from Anytime Fitness on your freaking birthday. And then right after that, as if that wasn't enough, you had to pay for your own grandmother's funeral services and didn't have any help from anyone else in the family, from the same grandma that actually took care of you growing up when you were taken away by social services. How did you maintain your resilience during those moments? And what advice do you have for someone else that might be facing adversity right now?
Oh, man. How did I maintain my resilience? I think, it was hard. That was a lot. There was a lot going on, and it's tough because like, I come from a family where like you love your family. I love my parents. I love them. But like they weren't always people that I needed to be around. And not that I didn't want to be around them, but they weren't the people that I needed to be around, But I think that on that day when, I got laid off and it was my birthday, she like, I don't know if she felt bad or not, but she was like, do you have anything to say? And I was like, it's my birthday. She's like, okay. But I think that I consciously kind of made a decision even as I was getting the news, because you have to remember, like I left that job in 2019 with no plan. I was supporting my family. COVID hit. And so a lot of places like stopped hiring. A lot of businesses were shutting down. It was horrible for the fitness industry. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame them for letting me go, but I had thought, okay, like it'd been a couple of months and I was okay financially, but things were starting to get a little bit stressful after, years and years and years. And so I think I just kind of made a conscious decision. I was like, hey, you know what? Like I'm going to give myself today to cry about it. I'm going to, feel sorry for myself for today. And then tomorrow I got to figure this out.
One day pity party.
Yeah. It was a one day pity party, And I think I only really took a few hours. I was like, dude, this freaking sucks. But you know what? Like I still have control, I don't see the benefit in being one of those people that says like, oh, this happened to me and F them and F that. And, why is the universe like this? Like that's such a bland way to avoid taking responsibility, And I think that me realizing that, yeah, there is something I can do about this. Like, look, there's like money is the easiest thing to acquire in the world. Like the hard part comes into where to go for it and what aligns with your core values. Like, where do you want to be to make that kind of money to acquire the things that you want?
That's freaking powerful. So what I hear you saying is life, I took it as life is happening for me, not to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of people have that opposite mindset where it's like, oh man, this is happening to me.
Yeah.
Right?
And you always have the option, you always have the option to flip the coin any way that you want, it's just like you either choose to look at heads or you choose to look at tails. I could have totally focused on like, oh, like this job screwed me over and I'm just going to like apply for whatever I want or whatever I need to just to make ends meet. But it's like, no, dude, like I've been doing this for a long time and I know what I can do. And it's unfortunate that position didn't work, but I have enough skills or at least enough drive to make wherever I want to make work. Like again, Betters didn't want to hire me. I made that work. There were a lot of companies out there that, didn't offer me the roles that I was looking for. And I still made it work.
One thing you just said that really stuck out to me is you said money is the easiest thing to acquire. There's a lot of people who are trying to get into sales that have a lot of belief and mindset issues around money is what I've realized. In fact, I've talked to people that just don't even believe that they make 100 a year, 120 a year, and they say there's no way there's people in sales making 2, 3, 4, 500K, which I'm like, you living under a rock type of a deal.
Yeah.
But I talk to people like that have those type of beliefs. And so how can you break it down for someone to understand, like, for them to understand, like, dude, no, in fact, money is the easiest thing to acquire. How can someone get to that spot to have that level of belief and understanding of money? Do you have any advice around that?
Well, I think they're operating off a broken system. You know, they're first of all, they're operating off a scarcity mindset, and you know that's not always a death sentence, but it can be. You know, and it's a hard thing. It's easier said than done to think abundantly, to believe all things are possible, and believe that if you just put in the work, that the good things will come. But it is just like anything in life. You know, I follow like a science blog because I'm kind of nerdy. And every few months, you know, I'll see an article about how they discovered a new species, right? Or a new animal or whatever it is. And that's kind of how I see this conversation going. And these people don't feel like, hey, that doesn't exist. That's not possible. It's a lot like, okay, is it fair for us to say when the scientists found this new species that had never been seen before, like, did that species not exist just because you hadn't discovered it yet? Yeah. Like, you just haven't taken the journey. Like, you haven't gone through your trek in the jungle and like slept under the stars yet, you know? So I think that, you know, operating off that broken system, you got to kind of take a look at like why you hold those beliefs. A lot of the times it comes from your upbringing. That's right. You know, where your parents, like, you know, holding on really tight to money. Money doesn't grow on trees, Trish. Yeah, exactly. That's the most common thing that people hear, right? Like, I knew what $20 was when I was in the second grade. Like, I knew how far it could go, what it could get us, and like the fact that we didn't have it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so that took a lot for me to get over. But again, like, you got to kind of think about what you want, and whatever belief you have, is it serving you? If it's not, then it's a good time to, again, question if you're comfortable, and then start to challenge yourself on that. And if you need help doing that, read more books, listen to podcasts, get a mentor, you know, because you can't be an island and try to grow. Damn, son. Powerful stuff. This is like, guys, this is the raw stuff right here. This is the real deal right here. This is the stuff you don't find every day on the internet, man. So share this podcast with a friend. If it's resonating for you right now and this is like, man, this is powerful, please share this podcast with a friend. And by the way, speaking of science, did you know they're bringing the woolly mammoth back to life? Oh my gosh, are they cloning it? They are cloning it. Oh my gosh. It's literally like any day now type of a deal from what I've understood. Were you the one that told me that you can clone your dog? Yes, I was. Oh my gosh. For like 25 G's. Yeah. So we went, and so how much is it to clone a woolly mammoth? Yeah, I don't know, probably a couple hundred G's, I would imagine, but they're bringing the woolly back to life. Holy cow. Yeah. And in fact, I don't know, not to go too off topic here, but there's a dude in Alaska, I forgot his name. I heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast one time, but the dude bought just like a few acres of land, like 3 or 4 acres of land up in Alaska. I don't know if you know this, but he's found hundreds of thousands of bones. Because so first, to give you some context here, he's a gold miner. Okay. So he didn't buy the property thinking he's going to discover a bunch of fucking woolly That was the first time I ever heard Chris on the podcast. A bunch of freaking woolly mammoth bones. And not just woolly mammoth. I mean, we're talking like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of bones like this guy has in this 3-acre in just this little tiny fossils? 3-acre, fossils. Wow. Yeah. But he's searching for gold. But as he's searching for gold, that's why he bought the land. He's a gold miner up there. Yeah. That's what he's been doing his whole life. All of a sudden he started discovering all these bones. And I guess there used to be maybe a river that passed through that area. And so like if there was a flood or whatnot, which, you know, a lot of, whether it's the Bible or a lot of other just books, they talk about, you know, once there was a massive flood, and a lot of cultures believe this. Yeah. And so if that's true, they're saying maybe a lot of those bones, like the water just brought all those bones, and it just happened to land in this one vicinity, this one area where he bought this land in. And dude, I follow the guy on Instagram. He posts shit like all the time. It's incredible. Like just to even think about like, dude, this is crazy. And he's posting all the bones and everything like that. But that's how I found out through that podcast that they're bringing the woolly mammoth back to life, which is pretty crazy. Holy it's like, cow. Dude, that's insane. Yeah. But like each one of those bones, I don't know, is worth like just like it's priceless, right? And this guy's just sitting on, literally no pun intended, a gold mine. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, that's fun fact. It's really cool. That's wild. That is wild. It is wild. Man, one thing I'm actually, this is probably the most powerful question I think I want to ask you today. You mentioned that thinking on your feet is the most important tool that you can acquire. Do you believe that that's a skill set in your opinion, or is that something that you feel like maybe comes more naturally? I want to know how you feel about that. And then like,
how can someone get better at thinking on their feet is what I really want to see, if you have any thoughts around.
Well, that's just going to be a bunch of micro decisions you have to make. Like it kind of came naturally for me just because when I was a kid, like there wasn't just a ton of resources that I could tap into for basic needs like food, water, shelter. So I had to get creative. But, as a closer, like, I can't tell you how often I have people reaching out saying, hey, Trish, like, this is the problem I'm facing. What would you do? And that's it. And I'm like, guys, I can tell you what to say and what to do all day, but I don't think you want to be coming to run to me every single time that you want something to happen. And I don't want you coming to run to me because you will probably one day come up with a much better solution than I have. You just need to adopt the right think structure. So when you run into roadblocks or you have a problem or something you don't know how to do, understand that you have resources. I mean, guys, like we some of you guys that come from a background who have like old school parents, like talk about how hard their childhood was. Like literally, how easy is ours? And I don't care what kind of background you have. Like, do you have access to the internet?
Yeah. Do
you have access to the library in your local city? Like, there is so much knowledge out there that you're not tapping into for what? Because you don't know where to look. Find yourself a direction. What's the first thing that you can acquire and work backwards from there? The biggest, like, I'll tell you this. I barely hear from my top 10 closers. They celebrate with me. They'll check in with me just to say hi, and I'll check in with them, make sure they don't need anything. But I barely hear from them about anything that went on during their day because they understand that, hey, I'm in full control of this. And if I don't know how to do something, yes, I have a mentor to ask. Yes, I have a coach to ask. But ultimately, none of that's going to matter if I learn something if I don't apply it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it is just kind of that micro decision where it's like, hey, am I just trying to take the easy way out by asking somebody what they would do? Or am I going to really introspectively look and decide for myself, like, hey, if this were ever to come up again, what would I do better this time around?
Damn, I need to get good at that. As I'm kind of scaling growing teams, you have so much experience. You've trained hundreds and hundreds of reps. You manage, I don't know how many reps right now, but it's over 100. Yeah. it's intense. And you've actually trained and coached hundreds and hundreds of reps. So I feel like as I'm now kind of scaling and growing, the offer that I'm helping out with, that's the one thing I'm realizing that's coming up is like a lot of the simple stuff. It's like I'm hoping that they could figure this stuff out, but I'm trying to get good at how can I have someone think on their own feet, and adopt a little bit more of that as opposed to like hit me up every time, like for the most basic things,
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is like when and I've seen you starting to do this. I think you're doing great, but when you do adopt that totally in a way that works for you, like what you'll find too is that the people you're working with are going to be that much more grateful, But it's so funny because like you didn't really necessarily do anything. You're just kind of pointing their face in the right direction. Yeah. And I get a lot of shout outs. I'm really fortunate. Like my team is super, super supportive and I love working with them and they make it a lot of fun. And we do a lot of really great things together. I get a lot of shout outs, but if you've ever noticed, Mike, like I always kind of turn it right back around, right? And I say, hey, that was all you.
You give them, all the time.
Yeah, they try to give me flowers, I'll give it back because it really was them.
That's right.
Like they're getting the results because they did what they needed to do. Like if I had to reorient them, great. But I didn't tell them what to do. I taught them how to think. And because they know how to think, now they can think for themselves. And it's like, I literally taught them to fish versus just giving them a fish every time they're hungry.
Dang, that's what it is right there.
Yeah.
How to think. Okay. How to think. That's powerful. I got to go back and listen to that for myself here. But there's so much value in what Trish just dropped. Man, you've gone on from being a top closer to being an exceptional leader, scaling multiple accounts here at One Call Closers and trained hundreds and hundreds of sales reps, right? One of the things that almost every single person tells us is they've never worked in an environment with such an infectious culture, positive culture, not the opposite, that 1CC has. And like, that's like, people just want in. How can I be part of this? And oh my God, this is amazing. Like this, I got to tell my friend, can I bring my friends in? All this kind of stuff. How have you been able to scale so many offers with so many reps and maintain such a high quality of leadership and culture?
If I had a simple answer for that, it would just be giving people the credit. If I don't feel like you're capable of doing something, I'm going to give you step-by-step micro decisions that I made on your behalf. But, we work with such wonderful people that come, again, from all different walks of life, and they come in with their own layer of expertise, even if it's not from a directly relevant industry, And so I think if I can just kind of give them the credit, transfer my belief that they're capable of doing it. One, obviously, like, everybody likes to be believed in, right? Even more than they need to be supported. But also it just requires, it just breeds more efficiency that way. If I try to hover over you and give you all the hammer and the saw and the nail gun and tell you exactly when to use what and why, when I could just teach you what each of the tools does.
Yeah.
Right. And let you build your house. I can scale faster than if I were to hover over you.
Man, one thing you just mentioned that I never talked about on the podcast before, that I'm actually really excited to talk about this concept. It's the concept of what I call borrowed belief. Mm-hmm. And to your point, it's every time I get a new rep come on and maybe they lack a little bit of confidence or kind of newer into the space or not really sold this kind of offer before. Like, I realized the one thing that I'm a little good at is like instilling the confidence and the belief in them to let them know, like, dude, they can crush this, they can do this. Yeah. But the reason I feel that way and that I am that way is because I feel like I had someone believe in me when I first started. And in that case, it was you, Rich, Ken, and Bedros. So like when I first started at Fit Body Bootcamp, I had been running my own trucking company, and part of that is having to sell yourself. But I was wearing many hats: accounting, sales, operations, all of it. But the one thing when I came in, I remember I suck. For anyone that doesn't know, I freaking suck. Okay, I was probably like one of the worst reps ever starting out. But the one thing that got me to have the confidence and to really have that level of belief was the concept of borrowed belief, because I had these guys instilling and letting me know, like, I could do it. Right? So with some repetition, with some steps and reps, like I got that. And so I think that's really powerful, because I talk about it today when people are like coming on an offer, they've never sold it, they've never done this thing before. I like to instill that same level of confidence in them that you guys instilled in me. And shit, like, it goes a long way. And it went a long way for me, because every morning I woke up, I was like, man, I suck at this, but guess what? I got Trish believing in me. Dude, I suck at this, but Rich believes I can do it. Man, I suck at this, but man, this person believes I can do it. Yeah. And I think that's huge. I've never talked about it before, but guys, to have someone believing in you can go such a long way, because sometimes the closest people to you, your friends, your parents, your family, your loved ones, might not have that level of belief, right? And might not, like, they don't know this space, they don't know this field. So you're kind of hearing chitter chatter about like what they're talking about, which doesn't really help your confidence. In fact, it probably does the opposite. It probably reduces the confidence when you have the closest people around you kind of like unsure about what you're doing or the opportunity you have, because they don't know, because it's an industry or a space that they've never heard of before. They just don't understand. But to have someone, man, that can instill that level of confidence in you, in my opinion, can change the game for you, because it certainly changed the game for me, man. Oh, yeah. And so borrowed belief is I think huge. Oh, yeah. Huge.
Yeah. And proximity is important too. You know, like everything that you're saying that we did for you, like you guys did for me, you, Rich, Mike, you're Mike, like you, Rich, Bedros, Ken, it's such a huge thing, because like, sales is such an emotional, visceral experience, and I think that most people are kind of predisposed to thinking, self-defeating thoughts, right? But proximity is really important. And this almost kind of goes back to, that question you asked of like, hey, if somebody holds a bad money belief, right? What can they do about it? Guys, like if you have limiting beliefs about your own capability, like you're spending time with the wrong people.
I love that.
So you need to find somebody who has that abundance mindset that can kind of help lift you out of that scarcity mindset that you're currently holding yourself hostage under. Because if I didn't have Mike, if I didn't have Rich, if I didn't have, Badros, like I don't know that I would be exactly where I am today. Like no one can do these things without help. Like no one's that amazing where they climb to the top of the ladder by just stepping on everyone's shoulders. It's like, hey, we're standing with each other, right? And it just makes it, again, a lot more fun that way too, I think.
Oh, 100%. Now that I think about it, when I go back, I'm like, dude, the environment, the proximity, I'm seeing people win around me and closing deals left and right? You're closing deals. Rich is closing deals. Chris is closing deals. This person's closing deals. Ken's closing deals. Remember Big Chris Weiler? Yeah, I love Chris. I still keep in touch with him. I'm thinking about you, Chris. I'm going to send you this clip. Yeah. But he was probably one of the most amazing, savage closers that like so like just nonchalant would just close people.
Very
like
smooth.
Very smooth, man. Chris Weiland, you're a freaking man. Yeah. But I remember being in that environment, you're like, dude, everybody's closing deals. And then the energy is so infectious. It's like, dude, everybody's winning here. And so to be a part of that and then also add the concept of borrowed belief on top of that environment, that proximity you're talking about, I think just skyrocketed my ability to just make me believe and then start crushing. And then I remember, I don't know if you remember, my first franchise deal I ever closed, it took me like a few weeks, maybe a month. But when I got it, it was a 5-deal franchise, my first one I ever closed. I think I broke a record. Yeah. And it was just like, damn, that shattered all the freaking beliefs I had, you know? And it was like, dude, we freaking closed 5 deals, you know? And one of the craziest things, going back to, again, having people believe in you, I'll never forget this call for the rest of my life because if it wasn't for Ken, I don't know if I would feel this way. So Ken was an exceptional, like, leader in the sense of like, man, he knew all the right things to say, sometimes the wrong things to say, but in a good way, like things you probably needed to hear. But one day, man, I was me and Rita, we were just like first really just married. We had just moved in and I closed that 5-deal franchise, right? And I had maybe started closing a few deals after that and I found flow. Finally, I was like, oh, okay, I'm finding flow. I feel like, okay, cool, I get it now. And Ken called me one day and I put him on speaker because we were driving to the market to go grocery shopping. And man, some of the things he said to me on that phone call, he's like, Mike, I got to tell you, he's like, I work with so many people my entire life. And Ken's an older guy, he's, over 50 and he has like life experience and stuff. He's like, I've never met anyone with the type of energy that you have. And he's like, you're destined for great things. You're going to do amazing, dude. You're freaking incredible. I'm so grateful that I get to work alongside you, dude. I can't tell you how amazing your energy is and how this and how that, whatever. He just said a bunch of shit. But like that phone call, I'll never forget it because it just skyrocketed my level of like conviction and confidence and belief in myself, like to a whole nother level. Yeah. I'm so grateful that he called me and had that conversation. And my wife was next to me, like listening to it too. And even for her, it was like, damn, And so I'll never forget that call, which probably now thinking about it now, I'm like, dude, I should probably be making that call to some people on my team and giving them that same experience because it changed everything for me. That call changed everything for me. It was like, wow, man, like this is different. I feel different. Yeah. So it went a long way.
Yeah,
a long way.
I agree. And that's kind of what, that book, The 4 Agreements, is about, right? It's like about being impeccable with your word. And you don't realize like the impact that you have. Even if your self-worth is low, guys, like if that's something you have to work on, the first thing that you can do is just start to genuinely compliment people, genuinely like shout out people when you notice something that you want to recognize them for, And so with Ken, like he was such an exceptional leader. Like there's a lot of his mannerisms and his leadership strategies that I still use to this day because, he made me feel so empowered, especially because like I'm a female, like I'm in a male dominated industry. It was tough, but he was really able to kind of instill that confidence in me too. I had it. But because I had his support, I reached a different level.
Next level confidence. Exactly. Yeah, next level confidence. Exactly. That's freaking awesome. I'm going to send Ken, man, this clip. Ken, I miss you. We miss you, Ken. Uncle Ken.
We miss you, Uncle
Ken. We miss you, man. Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. Couple more things I want to kind of get into with you. We talked about a lot that I think is extremely impactful for everyone here, but knowing what you know now, Coach Trish, could you, if you were to go back and restart your sales career, is there one piece of advice that we haven't talked about today yet that you would maybe share with our listener today about like one thing that maybe would be a game changer for you? Like if you could go back and tell yourself that, like what would that one thing be that maybe something we haven't already talked about?
I would say your worldview.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more.
So your worldview matters. When it comes down to being successful in this space, it's not just about knowing your product. It's not knowing about the frameworks or the language patterns or the methodologies. If what you're thinking does not match what you're saying, it's going to create a contradiction. And people are really geared towards sensing contradictions. If you're a great closer, that means that you're really good at building trust ethically.
That's right.
And with integrity. So you kind of have to really look at what your worldview is. there was a time in my life where I did have a lot of scarcity, scarcity-based limiting beliefs, like money is evil. I just need enough to get by. This is just a job to me. Like, there was a lot going on there. And when I kind of reanalyzed my worldview and my role of what I was doing there, like, did I feel like I was helping somebody or did I feel like I was manipulating them? Right. And once I understood that, hey, you know what, like, my intention isn't to manipulate anyone. It's not to take advantage of anyone. Like, if I have a product, service, or offer that can get that person from point A to B, I can't let myself stand in the way, and I got to get over myself. I had to humble myself, basically. That really is ego. So I would say worldview.
Worldview. That's freaking huge, man. That's freaking huge. And adding on to one thing you said about self-image, self-identity, right? I think, what's his name? Jim Fortin talks a lot about this, and it's powerful. But man, I mean, the way you also get, in my opinion, you start really building that up. If you're struggling with that right now, is just keeping the promises that you make to yourself, right? Yeah. Like, if you say you're going to do something, guys, like, just do it. Because if you don't, you're going to have a lot more disbelief in your abilities and what you can do, because you let yourself down so many times in the past that you just don't even believe you're going to do the thing that you say you're going to do, because of how many times you said you're going to do it and never showed up for yourself, right? So either just don't say it and end up doing the work, or if you say you're going to do something, keep the dang promise. And that's going to really help build that confidence, your self-image, your self-identity, and really take you to the next level, next best version of yourself. Yeah. Guilt will erode your self-identity. Because you feel guilty because you didn't keep the promise to yourself and you said you would, and now you feel like a piece of shit. Then you get on calls and you're asking somebody to make a leap that you couldn't do for yourself. Oh man, right? I'm so glad you mentioned that. I always tell people, like, dude, how can you help other people get out of their own way if you can't even get out of your own dang way? Yeah. If you don't have your shit dialed in, your life's not dialed in, your routines are not dialed in, your processes aren't dialed in, and you don't have that level of confidence in your abilities and the things that you do on a day-to-day, how can you help someone make a decision if you can't make a decision yourself? Yeah. Can I tell you a quick thing about that? Oh, I would love that. Please. Oh my God. I had a closer, pretty recently, actually, and he's a young kid. Love him. Love that he's around. But he still has a lot of limiting beliefs that he's carrying over from his parents, and a lot of limiting beliefs he's carrying over because, like, he's still young. All his friends are in college and they're partying and all this stuff. So, like, they're not aligned with his goals. That's right. And so he's kind of struggling with that. And, I asked him, I was like, hey, like, what else is going on? Because you're so inconsistent. There are some days you do $10,000 days, and then you'll go for a 4-day stretch with goose eggs. Like, what is going on for you? What else is going on in your life that maybe is interrupting this pattern for you? And he goes, well, Trish, listen, I don't really have a choice. I got this going on. I got that going on. I got this going on. And I was like, hang on, let's back it up. We can talk about all the other stuff if you want to, but what do you mean you don't have a choice? And he goes, well, because I need the money. I needed to do this and this and this and that. They give me all this, like, all the everyday logistical stuff that people kind of get trapped in, right? When it comes to everyday life. And Tom was like, you always have a choice. Like, you choose to do things the way that you need, that you're doing them now because it makes you feel better. Because it's keeping you afloat. But, like, you tell me, like, if we really kind of sat here and talked about it for a second, and you can get as deep or as vulnerable as you want to, like, I'm just here to help you with your think structure. What's one thing you could change right now that you could immediately implement that might get you a different result? Jeez. Right? And he was so surprised. He goes, Trish, I literally never thought about it that way. And I'm like, I get it. Perspective. I got it. And it's fine. That's what I'm here for. This isn't to say that the beliefs that you hold are wrong, but what I am saying is that the beliefs you hold aren't serving you. And that's why you're struggling, and that's why you're drowning, and that's why you're struggling to stay afloat. So what is that one thing? And guess what? When he started changing that, now it was a deal every other day. And he started keeping more promises to himself because he wasn't so stressed out of all the things that he felt like he had to do and didn't have a choice for. There were things that he could have prioritized. He just needed someone to help him look at it. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Like, especially when you're in that pattern of thinking and it's like the normal for you, it's like, it's harder to like have that perspective because you're so in that pattern. And so like you're coming in and like, dude, have you ever thought about it this way or this kind of pattern? It's like, oh, well, shoot, no, I hadn't, man. Yeah. And then it's like, dang, different perspective. And it's all about perspective, in my opinion, everything. You know? For sure. That's awesome. Now, kind of getting into more like people like looking to break into the remote high ticket space, big buzzword today, right? Everyone's looking for a legitimate high ticket offer with a legitimate company. And there's not a lot of them out there. So there's a lot of offers. Not all of them are legitimate. There's a lot of scammy stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people aren't in alignment with and they don't feel good about selling. But that being said, you've been just had so much experience in the space. What should someone be looking for when they're searching for a company and an offer to represent? What would Trish be looking for?
Well, I'd be looking to see that they have goals for expansion, that they have a strategy for growth, that even if their numbers aren't where they needed to be right now, that they've put steps in place to get there. Because I've done a lot. So like what you have in your list as far as what I've closed for, there's also a whole other list of stuff that I've closed for that hasn't worked out because the company the offer wasn't a good offer. Right?
That's right.
And what all those offers had in common that weren't proven is that they didn't have a good infrastructure. They were like doing things on the fly. They had no vision for where they wanted to be in the next 6 months. And they were kind of more of like, hey, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There are certain elements when running a business you can totally do that with, where you have to pivot and think on your feet. But when you're looking to scale, like you have to have a growth strategy. You have to think that through, because if you don't have like a North Star of where you're pointing towards, you're going to end up like a shotgun, just shooting, hoping you hit something.
I've had to learn that lesson the extremely hard way.
Yeah. So I'd be looking for growth strategies. I'd be looking, because the income potential, I don't care about that. That's up to me.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I don't need to know what the top rep's making. Like, it doesn't matter to me. If people are closing, if you have a growth strategy, you have plans to scale, and you have a solid plan to get there, and I can be a part of that journey, that's what I want.
I love that. Speaking of what the top rep's making, what has Trish's biggest month as a closer been in the remote high ticket sales space?
$54,000.
$54,000. What? Damn, $54,000. Jeez, bro, that's like an annual freaking salary.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It was awesome. That's what I used to buy my mom a house.
Dang. Bought your mama a house.
Yeah.
How'd she feel?
She's retired, so she got to retire early. Mortgage is done. All her obligations are done. She worked really hard. She's in Australia right now, vacationing.
Dang, bro, $54,000, guys. That's life-changing right there. I mean, if that isn't life-changing money in a month, I don't freaking know what is. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. Do you remember what the most amount of deals you closed in a day is?
13.
No, you beat my record.
13.
I'm at 12. Dang, son. I might have to get back into the closing side of things here, huh?
To be fair, though, this was before you came into the picture, so it was at one call. So
Okay.
it was 13.
Okay, I was at 12, so.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I didn't realize.
You didn't realize?
I didn't realize.
You were just on a roll?
I didn't realize until Richard called me. Like, I had finally been done for the day, and I was like about to make dinner, and then Richard calls me and goes, Trish, what have you been drinking? And I was like, whiskey. but I didn't know. I was just kept going, and like I didn't even realize until he told me, and I was like, oh shit,
Damn.
Yeah.
I was very well aware by the time I was
Were you?
12. I was like keeping track. I was like, I think in my mind, I don't know why I thought the top was like 10 or something at the time.
Yeah, no.
And I didn't even realize you had close 13. But
I was aware of my close rate. I was at like 75% for the day, so I was happy about that. But I didn't know how many I did.
Dang. You probably made a decent chunk of change in just that one day.
Yeah, that one day I think I made like almost $15,000.
Damn, in one day.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
I remember my biggest day on the 12 deals. I think I made 12.5.
Oh,
right around 12.5.
Yeah.
And holy
Same.
smokes. Like I did the feeling that I got, that shattered a lot of beliefs that I had about what the real possibilities are. And I remember calling my dad. I was so fired up. I called my dad. And I was like, dude, you never guess how much money I made today. He's like, how much money did you make today? I was like, 12.5. He's like, what? 12.5. He was just silent. Like, he didn't know what to say.
Really?
It was just like, damn, bro.
You know what my mom said?
What did she say?
I called her and I was like, oh my God, Mom, like, guess what I did today? And she's like, what? And I'm like, because she's so sarcastic. She's like, did you put your pants on today? I'm like, yes. But anyway, so I told her, I was like, dude, I just made like almost like $15,000 in commission. She goes, okay, do it again. I was like,
oh, dang, she hit you hard.
Yeah, I was like, okay. But, basically she was saying, hey, like, don't get excited. Don't rest on your laurels. Do it again.
Yeah,
like, don't let them, don't get comfortable. Is what she was saying.
Because what I see a lot of reps do, especially the newer ones, they get that one big month or one big day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all of a sudden it's crickets, and it's like, they're comfortable. Yeah. They just got, the next 4 to 6 months taken care of. Hey, we could, kind of take our foot off the pedal type of deal. Yeah. For sure. Don't fall in that trap, ladies and gentlemen. Do not fall in that trap, because we've all been there before, and it's just so much opportunity that you're missing out on. because the second best time to close a deal is right after that first one. The third best time to close a deal is right after that second one, and so on from there, right? So like leverage that freaking excitement, that energy, that conviction, guys, into the next call. Opportunities don't last. They come and go, right? They're here today, gone tomorrow. Just take advantage of what's in front of you if you have an awesome opportunity. And on that note, if you're looking for an awesome opportunity, right? Like you love all the stuff we're talking about here, and maybe you even want to be a part of this, right? Guys, you absolutely can. So we have something crazy in place for you here where you can actually get coaching plus placement and actually work here at One Call Closers under the leadership of folks like Trish, like myself, and amongst a lot of phenomenal leaders within the organization, right? We're almost getting close to about 300 reps now, guys. There's tons of opportunity. We sell for some of the biggest names in the space. If you go look at our website, the number one, callclosers.com, you'll just see a few of the faces that we represent, guys. And we have some sick and legitimate offers that you can be a part of, which, by the way, guys, like, yeah, there is an upfront cost to get on the offer for the coaching, but we're not looking to do that for the money. And the reason that you should know that is because we're going to give that money back to you. So when you make a certain amount of money within the organization with us, we literally bonus the investment that you drop right back to you, right? Because we are looking for solid reps that are looking for a home, right? And that's at the end of the day, if you're someone out there right now that's looking to break into the space, but you're also like looking for a home and you're serious about this, guys, click the second link in the description below. The first link in the description below, and schedule that call with us and just chat about what are some of the offers, what are some of the opportunities that we have right now, especially if you're having a hard time and you know, like everyone out there's kind of charging for placement, right? The difference between us and everyone else out there, guys, is we actually have our own sales agency. We actually have our own clients, our own accounts, our own offers that we sell for, and we don't place you into a third-party company like everyone else pretty much out there does, right? So if you're looking to just go straight to the source, we are the source. Make sure that you click that first link, schedule a call with us, and just listen and understand what are some of the opportunities that are available for you here. And there's some really awesome ones.
And what you're saying is so smart too, because like, you know, a large part of my role at One Call Closers is I interview. You know, I interview a lot of people, you know, and I can't tell you how often I've talked to people looking to break into the high ticket space that have spent 10, 15, 20,000 with other placement agencies. And then they get placed on, you know, those sucky, stupid offers that I was telling you about earlier, right? Like that don't have growth strategies, that don't have an infrastructure, that aren't proven offers, that can't, you know, get them what they want. So they got all the coaching and they got all the training, but for what, right?
That's right.
And they don't have any experience they can put down on their belt to take to other, you know, agencies like us and say, hey, listen, I have the experience, you know, I think I'll crush it with you guys. It's more of, like most of these people are asking agencies to take a chance on them. And most agencies can't afford to do that because
cost of acquisition.
Yeah, because cost of acquisition, all these other business needs and
XXX.
You know,
XYZ.
That's the thing. So it's what we have or what you're saying. There's no one else that offers this. The risk reversal in itself, it should tell everybody how amazing an opportunity this is.
That's right.
You know?
And just to be very frank and honest with you guys, like whatever people go out there to spend 10, 15,000 on to learn like a sales process or a sales framework, guys, we literally give that to you for free. I hate to say it if you spent that kind of money on just trying to like learn about that and someone promised you placement, right? We literally give you all that for free. In fact, we give you 5 days of live coaching for free. You can come on Monday through Friday for an hour, ask us anything. If you're literally like on a call or an offer right now and you need help with that, or you're looking up for an offer, you have just questions about this, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The same people that have scaled our sales agency to $200 million in the last 5 years are the same team leaders and coaches that are literally giving you 5 days of coaching for free. So all the stuff that you're going to go out there and spend that kind of money on, like you have it here at your disposal. And here's the thing, like you're going to go out there and learn all that stuff that other people teach you. And then you're going to come here and try to get on one of our offers, but it's not going to apply because that individual or that company hasn't sold a specific offer that we have that we've scaled to tens of millions of dollars, right? They don't know exactly how the call is going to go. And they don't have that process. So they can't really help you. And if you go to your coach with our sales call and you already have a coach and you take our sales call to them, they're not going to know how to close it because they haven't taken over 250,000 calls and have figured this out on their own, right? We've taken over 250,000 sales calls here at One Call Closers, right? We know exactly how every call is going to go and exactly what you need to do to freaking close it. So if that's you and you're looking for that, man, click that first link in the description below. Or if you're looking to take advantage of the free coaching and the free courses that we give you guys, just click the second link in the description below and join our school community for free. And that's the Closers Network on the school platform. That's SKOOL. Okay, second link in the description below. 2 more phone questions for Trish, and then we'll call it a day here. It's been awesome. I'm having so much fun. I don't know about you, but I'm having a great time. Do you have a favorite sales movie or TV show at all? Just curious. I don't know if anything comes to mind.
Not a sales movie, no.
Okay.
Like Django.
Okay, Django. Okay. Big Tarantino?
Yeah, I like some Tarantino.
Okay. I'm waiting on the 10th movie. Should be out hopefully next year or soon. Yeah.
His thing with feet's a little weird, but I'll take the rest.
I don't know the thing with the feet.
He's got a thing for feet.
Interesting. Apparently a lot of people do.
Dirty bare feet, yeah.
Oh.
No, not like the Feet Finder thing that you're thinking about. No, like Tarantino has a thing for like dirty bare feet apparently.
Huh. Yeah. To each their own.
Yeah.
Last question of the day. Do you have an influencer in the sales space or in just maybe a related space that you maybe would want to have dinner with, dead or alive? And if so, who would it be and why?
Probably Jim Quick.
Jim Quick?
Yeah, Jim Quick.
What do you like about Jim Quick?
Oh man, he just explains things like in my mind better than I think them, which is awesome. He just has such a clear, concise way of like of helping people break limiting beliefs, but also giving them, the tools that they can subjectively use, regardless of whatever their thing structure is, just to get that 1% better every day. So
dang, I feel like you do that for me. I feel like you are my Jim Quick. That's so awesome. Man, Trish, let's wrap this up. Any final thoughts? Do you have anything you want to share with our listener today?
I'm not sure the main reasons why you, the viewer specifically, are watching these podcasts, but look, like if you're looking to create more freedom, flexibility, choice, and you want to be a part of, an incredible opportunity to get those things without having to start from scratch and spend 10, 20 years learning what we've already done. You have to align yourself. It doesn't have to be us, by the way. You have to align yourself with people who have been there and done what you want to do. If you're on the phone with a company that's offering placement and they say they've done $200 million in sales, your next question should be, am I going to be placed on that offer that has made $200 million in sales?
Damn, son.
But otherwise, come check us out in the school network. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of knowledge dropped. You're going to be working with the best in the space. Come find out if this is even what you're looking for. I don't know if you'll be a good fit, but you can at least find, some direction. Then I'll say we did our job. You can tune in and watch Coach Trish live Tuesdays at what time? 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, guys. If you want to tune in, you can see Coach Trish live on Tuesdays, 10:30 Pacific Standard. I also happen to coach on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, and we have 2 other amazing coaches, Coach George and Coach Marisa. If you're looking to find out what those times are, we have a calendar once you get in our school platform, and you can see all the days and times. We offer free coaching 5 days a week. That being said, Trish, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time to come out here and do the podcast with me. I'm super grateful for you, and I'm excited for everything that's to come here within One Call Closers in the future. All right, likewise. Thanks for having me, Mike. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next podcast episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's rock.